Hello, and welcome to the 12th episode of Burning Questions, a podcast focused on reducing risk in your communities and answering some of your questions along the way. Each episode will focus on one safety topic that we get a lot of questions about. We'll do our best to answer some of those questions, and we'll try and clear up any misconceptions about those topics along the way. If you have any questions you'd like for us to answer, leave a voicemail for us at 864-430-0510, or you can email us at bsfdpodcast@gmail.com. On today's episode, we'll talk about home heating safety. We'll cover some of the different types of home heating sources, common hazards, and what you can do to stay safe in your home. I'm excited to be joined by Firefighter Miller, who's going to help us break down some of these key things to know when it comes to heating your home safely. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you having me. It's a really important topic, especially as we move into the colder winter months. People start looking for different ways to heat their homes.
Well, that's absolutely right. And as we're talking about it, we are getting into some of the colder months. I mean, it may not be cold in South Carolina yet, but we know it's cold some other places. What different types of heating sources are you talking about? What are the most common ones that people use?
Space heaters are pretty popular and they're convenient because they're portable. They can be dangerous if, you place them too close to flammable materials. Fireplaces and wood stoves create that desirable, cozy sort of atmosphere, especially in the winter. But you need to clean them, you need to keep up with them pretty regularly to prevent the buildup that can lead to fires.
So when I think of space heaters, I just think of the small ones that you plug into the wall, but are there other types that we should be aware of?
Well, you have your kerosene heaters, which are pretty popular because they give off a good amount of heat, and you'll find those in shops a lot of the time.
Okay, and then fireplaces and wood stoves. I have a gas fireplace, but there are also wood-burning fireplaces. What are some of the issues that we've run into with fireplaces and wood stoves in the past?
Well, you need to clean them a lot, especially the chimney. You get a lot of buildup in there, and too much buildup can lead to fires.
Absolutely, and you're right. As we move into the colder months, home heating becomes more and more important. What are some different types or some different methods that people use to heat their homes?
Well, the most common tend to be like space heaters, fireplaces, and wood stoves, and your oil and gas furnaces.
And there's people who use pellet stoves, and they think that because there's no or very little smoke that they can burn those indoors. Do you have any recommendations for people who are doing that?
I would recommend they keep their pellet stove outside. Just because it doesn't have any smoke doesn't mean it doesn't give off any harmful vapors. There are some pellet stoves that are made to be inside. Just keep in mind to have proper ventilation and keep those harmful vapors out of the way.
So you're saying just make sure that you use the stove in the way that it's intended and to follow those manufacturer's guidelines, because I know like the Solo brand stoves, right in the documentation it says that this product's made to be used outdoors, and the indoor ones that you're referring to usually come with attachments for chimneys or flues, and it's more like a wood stove than anything else. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
So what are some of the other safety considerations you would think of when using some of those other types of heating sources?
Well, you have furnaces, the oil and gas furnaces. You should get a professional to come out and check them, make sure they're running properly, efficiently. Fireplaces and wood stoves, everyone in winter wants that cozy environment, but just make sure you clean them, keep up with them to prevent buildup. Buildup can lead to fires. And your space heaters.
That's a good overview on the different types of heating equipment. What are some of the most common hazards that people face when using different heat sources like these in their home?
A big one is carbon monoxide poisoning, especially with gas-powered space heaters, furnaces, anything that involves fire. That's why it's so important to have a working carbon monoxide alarm in your home. Another big hazard is a fire risk. Things like placing space heaters too close to curtains, bedding, furniture, really anything that can ignite quickly. And maintain your stuff, maintain your equipment correctly, how it's supposed to be. Whether it's a furnace filter, just change those, or a chimney, clean those. Just keep up with your equipment.
What a lot of people don't realize is it's not just about cleaning the chimney itself or the flue itself, but it can also mean checking around the chimney or around the flue, because we've had fires in our district from a squirrel or a bird that's come in and built a nest in some of the boxing around the chimney. And then the first time that person lights a fire in their chimney, the chimney pipe itself or the flue gets too hot and ignites the dried twigs and leaves from the squirrel's nest. And we ended up losing a good portion of that person's roof just because an animal decided to make a nest inside their void space next to the chimney. But we do see a lot of fires start because something was too close to the heating source. What are some of the best practices people can follow to reduce that risk?
The first thing that comes to mind is just make sure you have enough clearance on all sides of the heater. 3 feet would be good. And don't leave them unattended. If you're going to leave the house to go to work or run some errands, or even when you go to bed, just turn them off. For fireplaces, I would use a screen. A screen to prevent sparks flying out and keep flammable items from getting in. You should always clean your chimney once a year. For furnaces, make sure you're getting them inspected and serviced annually. As I mentioned, working smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms, get those 100% and check them regularly. Make sure they're working.
So you mentioned smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. What should people do if they're faced with a heating-related fire or a carbon monoxide emergency?
Well, first, have a way to get out, like a home escape plan in place, and make sure you know it. Memorize it. Practice it with your family so everyone knows what to do, where to go. If you have a fire, I'd get out immediately and call 911. Don't try to fight it yourself. There's professionals for that. For carbon monoxide, if your alarm goes off, just evacuate your home and call for help. You don't want to take any chances with something that serious.
And you're absolutely right. Carbon monoxide is extremely dangerous. Just for the listeners, can you go over some brief facts about carbon monoxide just so we can refresh their memory?
Well, carbon monoxide is it's really a silent killer. You can't smell it. You can't see it. It has a similar density as just the surrounding air, so it mixes very well. Really, you don't know it's there until it's probably too late, and that's what the alarm is for, and pretty much going to pass out from it if you're breathing it in too long. So if your alarm goes off, your carbon monoxide alarm goes off, just leave the house, trust the alarm, and call 911.
Absolutely. When it comes to carbon monoxide, it's always better to be safe than sorry. I know that we carry monitors on our trucks that if we do get that call out, somebody thinks there might be carbon monoxide, we put all of our gear on, including air packs, and we'll go in and we'll take those monitors through your home. And if there is carbon monoxide, we'll try and figure out where it's coming from so we can isolate that source and you can get back into your home safely. But are there any myths or misconceptions that you've come across when it comes to home heating or home heating safety?
A big one, it's that it's okay to leave your space heater on overnight as long as it's in a safe spot. It's not true. It's never a good idea to leave one on when you're asleep. Wait to watch it. Another misconception is that chimneys don't need to be cleaned if you don't use them often. Like you were saying, you could have a squirrel or a bird build a nest in there, it clogs it up. And that nest catches on fire. Even with the limited use, creosote build up and cause a fire pretty easily.
That's a great point. It really comes down to just being proactive and putting safety first. What are some resources or assistance programs that might be available to help people in need or people who need advice or help with heating safety in their home?
Well, your fire department, any local fire department really, including Boiling Springs, offer free home safety checks and can install smoke and carbon monoxide alarms if needed. You also have community programs that can help with furnace inspections or provide assistance with purchasing safer heating equipment.
You mentioned purchasing safer heating equipment. I know with space heaters, modern heaters have a lot of safety features like tip-over protection and overheat protection. Would you recommend somebody using an older space heater, or if it doesn't have these safety features, should they consider replacing it?
They should consider replacing it. Like you said earlier, it's always better to be safe than sorry. If it has more safety features, go ahead and get it. It's worth every penny you spend on it.
That's fantastic. And getting back to available resources, before winter truly sets in and we actually get into some really cold months, is there any one thing that you'd ask our listeners to do today? What would that one thing be?
pretty much say before you start fires, make sure your smoke alarms and your carbon monoxide alarms, make sure they're all good, the battery's good, make sure they're working. It's a simple thing, just push of a button that, it might save your life one day.
You're absolutely right, and I can't speak for all fire departments or fire districts, but I know that at Boiling Springs Fire District, we offer, like you said before, free home safety visits. And part of that home safety visit is we will install smoke alarms with 10-year sealed batteries and carbon monoxide alarms at no charge or at no cost to the homeowner. So if you have a concern and you're in our district, please reach out to us and we'll get those installed. And we'll also give you any other safety tips we can while we're there. So anything we can do, we're there to help. So just to recap, we talked about the different types of home heating appliances or sources. We talked about some of the common hazards, some safety tips, and some best practices, what we can do to stay safe in our homes, and some myths and misconceptions about different heating practices and what's safe and what might not be safe. We talked about reaching out to your local community leaders or your local fire department to see what resources are available. And if possible, sign up for a home safety check just to make sure that everything in your home is as safe as it can be. With that, Firefighter Miller, thank you so much for coming in today and talking with us.
Thank you, anytime.
This podcast was made possible by the Boiling Springs Fire District in Greenville, South Carolina. We hope everyone has a wonderful day, and remember, stay safe out there.
# have a fire safe day.